Adam Mankuta here with a little all-out blitz Week 8 edition waiver wire video. We'll go through all the quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers to target this week, along with some injuries to be aware of and some guys on the trade block. As always, like our YouTube channel and check out all the content on the Fantasy Sports page on Facebook throughout the week. Let's dive right in with some quarterbacks, and the list at this point in the season is pretty bare, but the name I want to start with is Brock Osweiler. 2 straight games with decent statistics for Osweiler. He's definitely serviceable, and for those in 2 QB leagues that need a weapon at quarterback, certainly Osweiler is a name to look at. They play a short week this week on Thursday Night Football against the Texans. They should not have Tannehill in this game. I do not believe he'll be healthy for that. Osweiler's played pretty well, hasn't made too many mistakes, had no interceptions yesterday in that loss to the Lions, but he did throw for well over 200 yards and a couple touchdowns, one to Amendola, one to Stills. So I like Osweiler in very deep leagues or 2 QB leagues. Then you got Cody Kessler, and they needed a spark yesterday down in Jacksonville, and they got it. He threw this touchdown to TJ Yeldon. He also threw a pick, but it really wasn't his fault. It was off a tip pass. The locker room's totally against Blake Bortles. You heard the comments from Jalen Ramsey. So for me, Cody Kessler in deep leagues is a solid addition. Let's go to the running back position with some interesting names on the list. And the one on the bottom of the list is the most interesting because he's not on the team right now. And that's Mike Gillislee. With the injury to Sony Michel, it would not be a surprise if the Patriots went out and got a running back and someone they're familiar with and comfortable with. That would be Gillislee. Remember what he did at the beginning of last season, amassing all of those touchdowns earlier in the season before the team got healthier and they ended up cutting him. But for me, Gillislee is a guy that they could bring in. They'll feel comfortable. They'll give him the ball. They know he can perform in that offense. Other backs to consider. Doug Martin. Marshawn Lynch is going to be out for a little bit, so Doug Martin's next man up in Oakland. Good signing in the offseason now that they need him. Let's see how he performs, as he could potentially really take that role and run with it, as he's obviously much younger than Marshawn Lynch. Then you got Kerryon Johnson, who set a career high in rushing yesterday as he ran all over the Dolphins. This is the back of the future in Detroit. It's not what Garrett Blount, and as long as Theo Riddick is out, he'll also get targets like this in the passing game. So for me, Kerryon Johnson's my number one ad this week. Let's look at some receivers and tons of names on this list, including Michael Gallup of the Cowboys, Cortland Sutton of the Broncos, and this guy Tyrell Williams. Had another huge game yesterday in London against the Titans with a 75-yard touchdown. He's obviously become the big play receiver for Phillip Rivers. So if you're in a league, you need a wide receiver, and if he's available, grab Tyrell Williams. Then you got Michael Gallup, who had a great career at Colorado State, and now the rookie is becoming more involved in the offense for the Cowboys. Long touchdown pass from Dak Prescott. And again, if the Cowboys might go out and get a receiver like an Amari Cooper, this may actually open things up for a guy like Gallup with his big playability. And then you got Cortland Sutton. With all the trade rumors surrounding the Broncos wide receivers, it's almost time for them to hand the reins to Sutton when they get rid of either Emmanuel Sanders or Demaryius Thomas. Chances are Sutton will step right into that starting role, his target share will increase, and he'll have a big second half. He was an immense talented receiver at SMU during his college days. Now let's take a look at some injuries to monitor. Obviously, the Sony Michel injury is a big one. Keep an eye on the MRI, which should come early this week. You have Cooper Kupp, who should be back next week for the Rams. You have Matt Breida, who's been in and out of the 49ers lineup. Melvin Gordon, who was a surprise inactive in the London game. You got Gronk, who did not make the trip to Chicago, but they expect him to be ready for Monday Night Football against the Bills next week. And then you got LaShawn McCoy, who left with a concussion. All big injuries to big players. Keep an eye on it this week. And then you got some trade rumors out there with the trading deadline creeping up on us. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Patrick Peterson, Kelvin Benjamin, and Amari Cooper. Teams like the Browns, the Cowboys, maybe the Patriots, if they're down a running back, are going to be looking to make a move here this week. So keep an eye. And obviously Le'Veon Bell is another name that we could put on this list, but we do not expect him to move. For plenty more throughout the week, as mentioned, check out the Phantom Facebook page, like our YouTube channel, and the All Out Blitz Sunday mornings, 11:45 Eastern, as we get you ready for Week 8 in the NFL.